Hi, good morning. Morning, everyone. It's Guy Loveday here. We'll start with the accounts stuff. And in particular, I wanted to inform everybody about the new, or relatively new, HMRC Accounts Template. You appreciate that the online process is operating now, where corporation tax computations need to be filed electronically from 31st of March this year and need to be accompanied by ICAEW compliant accounts. Well, the revenue have created a template, an accounts template that can be used by, small companies, they say on the revenue website. The reality is it's very small companies. I'd say it's focused more on micro-sized entities. And micro-sized entities with very straightforward accounting affairs at that. Okay, I'm going to move on to our second accounting topic, and we're going to have a look at some UK GAAP frequently asked questions. I've drawn these from a fact sheet that the Institute's Financial Reporting faculty produced back in March. There's about 30 of these questions, each of them in the fact sheet itself and in your accompanying notes. Each of them has a comprehensive answer. What I've done, just to give you a flavour over the course of this webinar, is to pick a handful of the questions. Let's move on. Let's move away from accounting indeed and towards auditing. We'll stop briefly looking at audit exemption, and then we'll move on to auditing per se. So Vince Cable, back in March, gave a speech at the Mansion House for the Department for Business, and it was a bizarre speech. I saw the transcript of the speech available online and was puzzled as to some of the things that Vince Cable was saying. Thought maybe, well, it's the heat of the moment that's caused him to get a bit confused. But then his department issued a paper backing up the speech, which seemed to, for me anyway, to perpetuate the confusion. 4 things that Vince Cable said in the Mansion House speech. First of all, he talked about increasing thresholds, audit exemption thresholds, to bring them in line with the EU minimum. And I was puzzled as to what he meant by that. I thought, does he mean retranslating the euro thresholds because the sterling-euro exchange rate has moved since we last did this exercise? Or did he mean something else? Let me move on in the last 10 minutes or so now and talk about one aspect of auditing that has come to the fore. Now, there was a paper issued last year about auditor scepticism and about whether the level of scepticism in the modern audit was appropriate, or about whether there was a lack of scepticism in modern audits compared perhaps to how things used to be in the 70s and 80s. Many of you may have seen that paper. Some of you may have commented on that paper yourself. What I'm going to look at with you now very briefly is the feedback on that paper, the responses that the Auditing Practices Board received when issuing this paper, and most importantly, the action that's going to be taken. A number of different steps that are going to be taken by a number of different bodies.